Waiting.
Did the other video get canceled and disappear?
It's probably just processing. It disappears briefly while it's processing. And if it
Not in your list, I gotta tell you.
Yeah, I know. That's been happening since okay, we're on. And we're live. Yeah, that's been happening since they changed it, Desert. Since they changed YouTube Studio. It's harder to find the live streams, so if it has vanished, I can re-upload. I'll have a copy of it anyway, so. Okay. It just won't be. It'll be without the chat, but at least I'll have a copy. Okay. Hopefully, we are back. Okay. Lynn says good sound. 10 and 10. Thumbs upping. Okay. Good. So we will continue. You're listening to the Forbidden History Chronicles. Here with Ninja Cat 111 and Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series. This is part 2. And yay, we're back. Welcome, Desert.
Okay. So I don't know if did I get the story out about the fact that I don't know where we cut off, but do you think you got recorded about Adam became the serpent mentally first because he twisted the truth? He was a word twister before he realized he was a serpent in physical form. Did you get that?
I'm pretty sure we got all of it. As soon as it came up and said disconnected, that was when I told you, and you just got it all out. So.
Got it all out. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna shift gears here, and now I want to sneeze. Hang on. Yeah, for radio. Oh, okay. Give out my. Well, that's okay. There's nobody listening right now, so.
There is.
We're just a real public radio. I'm gonna kick back and relax, and no worries, right?
No worries whatsoever, Desert. Yeah. I'm just glad we're back.
What if the world's coming to an end? I'm happy, you know.
Yeah.
It couldn't happen to a better planet as far as I can tell. You know?
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, of course, it's a shameful of the beautiful creation because just heard about like 1,000 dolphins got beached and killed somewhere on our planet. I don't know where that was, but it's just.
I think a lot of I think a lot of it's happening over Europe at the moment in that area.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It was France, I believe. I know. So, but anyway, we're going to try to get the Aramaic. This is a lost gospel, faithful record of the teaching given to Yeshua, taught on peace, happiness, addressing all those who sought to follow after the way and to walk in the light of the true path. I'm losing my voice, so I hope I can get through this, and then we'll probably just call it a wrap.
Okay.
People were sitting all around the Mother Star. This is chapter 1. People were sitting around the Mother Star, and they were listening with great reverence. They desired to hear the Eshavors, the words that would give them life. They were like the Eshaf, sheep that were starving for food. Shimon, being among the truth seekers, said, "We do not know the full truth, and we need to hear your seed planting, your teaching." The Moeshiach replied, "Very well. Everything that exists needs the great light." And when people read, the Torah, the word Torah, just as a footnote, the best way to transliterate that is great light, because that's really what was happening when Moses was getting the 10, because it was the light. Remember when he goes off the mountain, what did it say? That he had Quran coming out of his face, out of his head, and the Quran were rays of light, the projection picture is created was a great light. And so very well, everything that exists needs a great light. And every kind of individual can find what is just below the surface, buried deeper than our eyes can see. The truth is like looking at a white of the moon in water. If the water is cloudy, you cannot see it clearly. It is like the burning straw in a fire. If the straw is moist, the fire cannot burn brightly. The truths of the great light can be hidden and moist like this. So Shimon, if anyone wants to follow the way, they must clear their minds. I think that means sort of like throw out a lot of the garbage that they've been fed.
Yeah.
And set aside all things that hamper their ability to learn the full truth.
Yep. Wow. Wow.
To be pure and still means to be open to purity and stillness. As a result, you will begin to learn the truth. This means that the light can shine, revealing the workings of cause and effect and leading to the shalom of eternal peace. Shemon, know this. The Eshavors, the words given to me by the Great Father of light who rules from the throne in the sun, reaches out to all directions. People struggle trying to learn too much at one time. This struggle, however, creates the desire to do something. Doing creates movement, and which can result in anxiety. Then it is impossible to find rest and contentment. This is why I teach patience and a gradual learning of the great light. For in patience there is no disturbance. Then you can enter into the royal house of the sun. Remove yourself from what disturbs and distracts you, and be as pure as one who breathes in purity and emptiness, trusting in Yabohe. This is the beginning of key knowledge. It is the way to the shalom of eternal peace and the joy of enlightenment. Shemon, know this. The Father can be found throughout the cosmos and throughout the earth. The seed of the sun is the express image of the Great Father of light. The sun is the way to the Great Father and can be seen among all people who trust and follow in him. Those who act piously soon achieve a title, but fame makes people behave differently. They become driven by worldly ambitions. This makes them inflated and defines what they do. People like this can never achieve the shalom of eternal peace and the enlightenment of joy, the joy of enlightenment, for they do not know the Zen, the sun, and have no patience within them. Those who do not live a humble life and those who seek notoriety serve as their own guides. However, those who are humble and meek and who do not seek to serve their own bodies know the way to the shalom of eternal peace and the joy of enlightenment through the sun. Shemum, you should see and give ear to the great light. Do not be distracted by the things of the world. When you have reached this level of comprehension, you will be able to taste the great light. Embody the great light within your heart. Feel compassion and always be compassionate without trying to show it off to anyone. Everyone will be freed in this way. And this is called the way to the shalom of eternal peace and the joy of enlightenment. All the people then stood, and after bowing, they sang this song. All praise to the great seed planter. For you seed plant within us the great light in truth. And it is as it is, and its depth and mystery beyond imagining. In one of the truth seekers breathed through the Moeshiach, Mother Star. Although we do not pretend to comprehend all things, we will continue to study. Yeshua breathed. It is true throughout all time that I breathe before you. The shalom of eternal peace and the joy of enlightenment can only be found where nothing of this world exists. It is as a distant bare mountain ringed with forest and glades. There are many places of shelter and rest. Animals of all kinds are naturally drawn to it. It is also like a great ocean, which is vast and fathomless. You do not have to worry how its creatures survive. They gravitate there and find all that they need. And you, what do? You gravitate naturally to these seed plantings, teaching, and through them you will come to live in the shalom of eternal peace and the joy of enlightenment. Animals practice true victory of light and live by the natural laws. So they are already there in that realm. And so you will come to be in a place where nothing of the world exists or is desired. And all of those standing there breathe. Yes. Yamun. Let there be light. And then I spoke to the crowd and breathed. The Shultre is profound. The scriptures are profound and profitable for seed planting, for teaching. The star messengers and the seed planters of Yahweh are in agreement with this. To move about, you are in need of the light in order to see. This seed planting provides you the light that you are in need of. Just as the rays of the sun being forth, so you are able to see what is in front of you. The Shultres, the scriptures, contain a comprehension, and by its light you can know the narrow path and the great light which will be in your heart. All the perfect in the flowing light know that this seed planting is at the root of all that is true. Then the Moeshiach stood in the center of the crowd and breathed. Go and share these seed plantings with your father and your mother and your brother and your sister. Share what you have given ear to with your neighbor, your near brother. Honor these seed plantings. Sing and create light together. And the great Father who rules from his throne in the sun will endow, enlighten, and separate you and your family into the next generation of the second born. Through the victory of light, they will find the shalom of eternal peace. It is like the spring rain which refreshes a growing tree. If you have roots, you will flourish by the rain, the rayon. And if you have no roots, it is impossible to grow. And those in the crowd stood and raised their hands in great respect, and they rose up in the creation, lifted up in the creation, the mother star, Yeshua, by breathing. Risen up in the creation and illuminated and honored are you, full of mercy and compassion. There is no one higher than you, Great One. Be present in your love, your travain love, and protect and guide us. You have watched over us for generations, saving our fathers and our forefathers, and daily bringing people to share your shalom of eternal peace. Then one of the truth seekers, the Talmudim, breathed to Yeshua, Mother Star. Some of us are lost and are in need of returning to the great light. And the Moeshiach breathed, indeed, what you say is true. It is like a precious mountain. Its translucent jade forests and fragrant pearl fruits are food for those who thirst for healing. I will tell you a parable of natural reflection. There was a sick Ashan who heard people talk about this precious mountain. Day and night he longed to reach it, and the thought consumed him. But the mountain was very high, and the distance to the top was very great, and he was very crippled. He longed to realize his dream, but he followed that he was unable. The Ashan had a relative who was wise and resourceful, and this Ashan had climbing ladders and brought these and cut steps within the side of the mountain, and with some friends he levered and pushed the sick man up until he reached the summit, and up there he was finally healed. People coming to this mountain were confused and unhappy because of their attainment to things of this world. They had heard the truth. They knew it could lead them to the way. So they tried to scale this mountain, but in vain. For they were without the travain love and the victory of light. Then the seed of the sun came like the relative and elder brother, and plowed and planted seed within them with skill and sincerity, so that they knew that he was a scaling ladder, and cut the steps in stone where they could find footholds and find the true way, freed from their guilt forever. Then Yeshua sat down, and the crowd also sat in front of him. The Moeshiach began seed planting within them by breathing. You observe how an Ashan will grow old and sick. For it is truth at all times that I breathe for you. No Ashan escapes this. It is like being a traveler. He will stay wherever he can lie down for a night. He does not concern himself whether the bed or the food are the choices. And so it is between us and our Buddhas. Once an Ashan leaves, he leaves all material possessions behind, and no one is able to escape this. You also observe that your relatives will also have to leave, just as the leaves of a tree fall in the autumn season. nothing can stop this, and no leaf survives. The wind takes them all in its swirling breath. Some nation are great and powerful. For others, life is brief and glorious. And with both, nothing earthly lasts forever. It is like the shining light of the moon illuminated everywhere. And all it takes is a cloud to drift across it. All the light is dimmed or eclipsed altogether. Some nation are bullish, provoking everyone they meet, while others exploit nation who are weaker than they are. And in the end, both can be killed in an instant. They're like moths drawn to a flame as they fly straight into the flame and suffer. These are misers who do nothing but gather materials and possessions and gold and silver. They wear themselves out with no end of pain, and they cannot take any of it with them. They're like small clay lamps filled with seawater. How can you hope to catch the vastness of the sea in something so small? Observe the prostitutes, how they are always unhappy and depressed. They're like a tree invaded by termites being eaten away until the wood is so rotten that it collapses to the touch, threatening anyone in sight. Many men wander from one religion to another, seeking after what they do not know, and these become greatly confused. It is like someone who makes statues of cattle. No matter how lifelike they seem, take them out to the fields, and they cannot do anything. There are some nation who trust and follow they know all things, and who appear to everyone as if they do. But in reality, they, perhaps being wise, share nothing with anyone, and the truth dies with them. They are like oysters with pearls growing in them. The pearl is no use to the oyster, and the oyster is no use until it is caught and pried upon. Meditate on these deep matters and hold them in your mind's eye, within your feelings, in your butt eye. This is one way of comprehending how some have the echelon of eternal peace and others do not. The crowd was astonished at the seed planting of the mother star, for they had not been plowed and planted in this manner ever before. And some were saying among themselves, he seed plants with such authority. Great is his wisdom and wise judgment, for surely he is the seed of the sun. Chapter 2. Let me just take a sip of my throat tonic here, and you are tuned in right here to the Forbidden History Chronicles with Vinci Cat 111 and yours truly, Dezert-Owl, the bird who sees in the night. And I hope everybody's doing well out there today. And you did tell your friends, didn't you? Thank you for doing that. After all, you wanted to know. And our time is short on this planet, shorter than we ever imagined, ladies and gentlemen. And we have to hear things we've never heard before. Not just compare apples and oranges, but let's compare apples, oranges, plums, tangerines, and prunes, and then see if we can't make sense out of it all. Chapter 2. On the day the Moeshiach ascended a great hill and many people followed him up the hill. When Yeshua arrived at the top, there were sitting all around people waiting to give ear to his seed planting. Then Yeshua sat down with his Talmudim, his truth seekers, and he started seed planting within the crowd by breathing. The poor in spirit will inherit the royal domain of the house of the Son. Those who are mourning will be comforted. Those who are meek will inherit and be sovereigns in the earth. Those who hunger and thirst for perfection in the flowing light will be satisfied. Those who are merciful will be shown mercy. They who are pure in their hearts will see Yahweh, who is the great Elohim. They who make a shalom of eternal peace will be called the dams of Yahweh. They who have been persecuted for perfection in the flowing light will inherit the royal house of the Son. Endowed, enlightened, and separated are you whenever they curse you and whenever they persecute you, and they say every kind of dark thing in Ashavors about you falsely because of the seed of the Son. That is when you should stand up in the flowing light and be happy. For your reward is great in the throne of the Son. For in like manner they persecuted the star messengers who were before you. You are the preservation of this earth. But if the preservation state gets to a point where it no longer has any strength, with what then will it be preserved and strengthened? Then it is not fit for anything but to be thrown outside and trodden down by the foot of man. You are a light for the world. It is not possible to hide a citadel that is built upon a mountain. You should not light your lamp and then put it under the measuring table, but on a lampstand above the table, the taboo, and the light shines then on all that are in the house. In the same way, let your light shine in front of the seat of the moon, that they should indeed see your perfect works, and then they will lift up in the flowing light your great Father who rules from his throne in the sun and always giving recognition to Yahweh. Do not think that I came to dismiss the great light or the Mosaic law or the star messengers. I have not come to dismiss, but to demonstrate for you its true seed plantings as the great Father intended them to be. For it is true throughout all time that I breathed for you, until the sun, earth, and moon and the stars pass away. Not one of the smallest dot or one letter pass away from the great light, until the great light of the Mosaic law, until everything is fulfilled. Therefore, anyone who dismisses one of these small mandates and will teach this way, the seed of the moon to be as such, will be called the leaf in the royal house of the sun. But those who do perform correctly and seed plant within them will be called great in the royal house of the sun, the royal domain. For I breathe before you that unless your perfection in the flowing light exceeds more than that of the Shulfar scribes in the Pharisha aim, the Pharisee. You will not enter into the royal domain of the house of the sun. If an Ashan stood, and then an Ashan stood up and asked, Yeshua, Mother Star, how is it that we are to focus light upon one another in various matters? And what about focusing light on crimes? Yeshua breathed. You have given ear that it was breathed to those in the past. You will not murder. And whoever will murder will be condemned to the focusing light of creation. But I breathe before you that anyone who provokes his brother to anger without a cause has condemned to the focusing light, is condemned to the focusing light, by the focusing light. And anyone who should breathe to his brother, you good for nothing, is condemned before the assembly. And anyone who should breathe, you are a coward, or good for nothing, is condemned to the fire of Gehenna, to the garbage heap. The Ashan then breathed, Mother Star, we are a simple people and do not fully comprehend. A man is not to murder, for this is the Mosaic law. If a man is not to provoke his brother to anger without a cause, then we are forbidden to speak badly against our brother. But what of those who hold grudges? Do they not receive a punishment as well? And Yeshua breathed. This is the same seed planting. If you are offering your gift at the altar, and remember that your brother holds something against you, leave your offering there upon the altar, and first go and be reconciled with your brother, and then come back to offer your offering. For it is a great blindness to cause distress to the spirit of your brother. Be in agreement with your adversary at law quickly, while you are going to the court in the way with him. Let your adversary at the law deliver you before the Yud-K, the judge, and the focusing Yud-K light deliver you to the officer, and then you be thrown into the house of captives. It is true at all times that I breathe before you that you will not come out from there until you have received the last stripe of payment. Do not focus light in order that you should not have light focused on you. For with what focusing light of creation that you focus light with, you will be focused in the light. And by the measure that you measure, that same rule will be measured against you. And why do you observe the straw that is in the eye of the grain of sand that is in your brother's eye, and yet you do not see the boulder that is in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, allow me to take that grain of sand out of your eye, and you must see and read it for yourself, a boulder is in your own eye? You giant pretender, pluck first out the boulder from your own eye, and then you will see clearly to pluck the grain of sand out of the eye of your brother. If you are in my bosom, and you do not do the will of my great Father, who rules from his throne in the sun, I will cast you away from my bosom. Then another Ashan stood and asked Yeshua, Mother Star, what is your seed planting concerning adultery? Now Yeshua knew what was in the heart of this Ashan, and knew that he was living an adulterous life and trafficking in prostitutes. will breathe. You have heard that it has been breathed. You will not commit adultery. But I breathe unto you that all who look on a woman as lusting has immediately committed adultery in his heart. If anything stands in your way of walking on the straight path, you must cast it away from you. For even if you do close your eyes and then make a reed breath as the breathing of a star with your entire heart and mind, it is better for you that you had only had those past darknesses than for a guilty verdict to be passed against you and then to be cast into the Gehenna of the garbage dump because you failed to show a true reed breath as the breath of a star. One of the shofar scribes sitting among the crowds asked Yeshua, "What is your seed planting concerning divorce?" Yeshua breathed. You know that it is breathed. He who puts away his veife, his wife, will give a certificate of divorce for her. And many of you have divorced your veifes on frivolous matters. But I say, I breathe before you that anyone who puts away his veife, except for the case of being unfaithful, causes her to commit adultery. And whoever marries a divorced Eshafe woman commits adultery. This is the same seed planting. You have heard that it has been breathed to those before you that you must not lie within your oath taking, but complete your oath before Yahweh. But I breathe before you. You should not breathe, I swear, not by the throne of the Son, because it is the great throne of Yahweh, and not by the earth, because it is the great footstool that is beneath the feet of Yahweh, and not by the anointed city, because it is the city of the great Malach, king. And you should not swear by your head, because you are not able to make one hair white or black. But your Eshavor must be yes. Should you always indicate yes? And no? Should you always indicate no? Let your yes be yes, and your no be no. Because anything that is more than this is of the darkness. Yeshua rose up and leaned against a tree and continued seed planting before the crowd by breathing. You have been plowed and planted within that you should love your neighbor, your near brother, and hate your enemy. But I breathe before you, love your enemies. Do good to those that curse you, enlighten them, and do that which is pleasing to those who hate you, and create light for those that imprison you and persecute you, so that you may be the Zam of your great Father who rules from his throne in the sun. For the eye, he is the one who raises the sun upon the perfect and upon the corrupt, and causes the rain to descend down upon the focused light and upon those who have no light. For if you love only those that love you, what reward do you have? Do not even the tax collectors do greet your brothers a shalom, what more are you then doing? Do not even the tax collectors do this? If you only greet your brothers in a shalom, what more are you doing? For this reason, you must become perfect as your great Father who rules from his throne in the sun is perfect and gives good things to all. Perfect gifts, in fact. Listen carefully. Whenever you create light, you should not be like the great pretenders that love to stand in the public assemblies and on the corners of the marketplaces to create light, that they may be seen by the Zan of the moon. It is truth at all time that I breathe before you, that they have received their reward. But you, when you create light, enter into the private chamber and close the door and create light before Yahweh who is in secret. And your great Father of light who sees you in your secret chamber, in your closet, will reward you openly. And when you create light, you should not be overly talkative like the commoners, but for they think that by their many Eshavors they should be heard. Therefore, do not be imitating them. For Yahweh knows what you need even before you ask him. For this reason, you should create light like this in regard to these aspects of nature. Our great Father, who rules from his throne in the sun, may your royal title, Yeshua, be set apart. Your royal domain in the house of the sun, may it come. Your will be done, as in the throne of the sun, so on earth. Give us the Mazorot, the pure bread of our needs this day. Forgive us our offenses, as we have forgiven those who have offended against us. And do not permit us to be brought into trial, but deliver us from all dark nature and blindness. And so let there be light. And if you forgive Eshan the wrongdoing they do against you, Yahweh will also forgive you the wrongdoing you do against him. But if you do not forgive Eshan for their wrongdoing, neither will Yahweh forgive you your wrongdoing. The lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye is focused and pure, your entire body will be filled with light. But if your eye has double vision and sees in two ways, your entire body will be filled with darkness. If therefore the light that is in you is put out in darkness, how terribly great will this darkness be? No Eshan is able to serve two owners, for he will either hate one of them and love the other, or he will honor the one and he will treat the other with disrespect. You are not able to serve both Yahweh and the things of this world. I breathe this because you should not become anxious about your life and existence from day to day, what you will eat and what you will drink, and all about your body, what you're going to wear. It is not your soul, your shul, more important than food, and your body more than clothing. Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow in fields. They do not harvest at the end of the year, and they do not gather anything into storehouses. And yet, Yahweh feeds them all. So are you not of greater importance than they? The provisions have already been made. So who among you, while being anxious, is then able to add one thing to his importance? And why are you anxious about clothing? Consider the lilies of the wild field, how they grow without any labor, no spinning, just sunshine. And I say to you that not even Solomon, in all of his radiant illumination, was clothed like one of these. But if Yahweh clothes the grass of the field, which exists today, but tomorrow then is thrown into the furnace for burning, will he not much more clothe you, you who have little victory of light? Yahweh knows what it is that you need, and he will provide it in his time. So seek first the royal house of the Son of Yahweh and his perfection in the flowing light, and all the things you are in need of will be provided for you. For this reason, do not be apprehensive about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be trouble enough for itself. Sufficient for today is the great darkness that is around you. So open your eyes and be focused. At that time, another shofar scribe stood up and asked Yeshua, Mother Star, what do you mean by the seed planting of the timing of Yahweh? For how long shall we wait for our reward, the sunrise that we need? And how shall a seed planter plant seed? Now Yeshua knew what was in the heart of this shofar scribe, and he knew the shofar was honest and was a Shan who deeply revered Yahweh. And so Yeshua breathed before the crowd. You should ask for what you need, and it will be given to you. Seek for what you are looking for, and you will find. Knock, and the door, it will be open for you. The gate of eternity. For the eye who seeks should not quit seeking until he finds. And when he finds, he will be astonished. And having been astonished, he will then be strengthened. And then having been strengthened, you will find the power to find the rest. For everyone that asks receives, and he that diligently seeks finds, and for him who knocks, that gate will be opened. You should not hang consecrated ornaments on dogs. That is to say, you should not put the truth on the dogs, that they should not, and you should not cast your pearls before the swine, in case they tread them under their feet and turn around and then tear you to pieces. Know who it is you are speaking with. For when you dispense the great seed planting of the great light to the nations, you must be weary about how much you speak. Wary. And who it is you are giving to. For many will not appreciate its true value, and will persecute you, and will deride you. Yeshua sitting on the ground and pointing to a small crevice in a large stone, breathed. You must enter in by the narrow and straight gate, for wide and broad is the gate in the way that leads to destruction, and many there are that are walking within it. How small and narrow is the gate that is straight, and it is the way that leads to life. And yet there are few who can even find it. Beware of false star navigators who come to you in the clothing of Ashaf, of sheep, but on the inside they are ravenous wolves, ready to devour you. But you will know them by their fruits. Do Ashan gather grapes from thorn bushes or figs from milk thistles? So every perfect tree bears perfect fruit, but a corrupt tree bears corrupt fruit. A perfect tree cannot bear corrupt fruit, nor can a corrupt tree bear perfect fruit. Every tree that does not bear perfect fruit is cut down and consigned to the fire. For this reason, by their fruit you will know them. Not everyone who calls me healer and sunrise will enter into the royal domain of the house of the sun, but only he that does the will of Yahweh. But I never knew those who claim to follow me blindly, or who carried my royal title, and that I shall tell them to depart from me, because they are the workers of blind action, of the way of the leopard, wickedness, the Vekat, the way of the cat. The crowd was astonished at his seed planting, this of Yeshua, and they all dispersed. But some of the shofar scribes were grumbling at his seed planting. Now one day when Yeshua was seed planting a great multitude of people before him, he breathed, "Do not put a mask on your face and pretend to be what you are not. Be your most natural, and do not run after the fantasies nor the illusions of this world. It is as if you are in a boat on the great and wide ocean. The wind drives you in various directions, and you have no control. And all the time you are thinking that you might drown or lose your life. And for such ones there is no rest, no peace. In fact, there is no peace at all. Such people have no truth within them, needed to hold a true course has been abandoned. And in this manner, you must take action. Do not announce your perfect action throughout the land. Do what is right to bring people to the truth of the Eshavors, the words of the great Father of Light, but not for the sake of your own reputation. It is like the great earth which gives food to each according to their needs. The Barokain, the endowment and the enlightenment and the separation of that which you are given is endless. But the earth does not stand up to broadcast what is its perfect works are all about to anybody. So anyone who seed plants the great light and who practices the perfect way brings light to those who will listen and observe the truth from the tree's roots, and will know the true Shalom of eternal peace and the joy of enlightenment. But do not force anyone to give ear to the truth. For I tell you the truth, that if a Shan does not give ear to the truth in his life, he will have opportunity to give ear to the truth in the next, when he will receive the stripes that are due him for his error and blatant rejection of that great light. He will treat everyone equally and live from day to day. It is like a clear mirror which reflects everything, green or yellow or in any combination. It shows everything as well as the smallest of detail. The mirror reflects without making judgment. And you should do the same. Then the true Shalom of eternal peace and the joy of enlightenment will be shown to flow from your heart, and others will join you in the walk on the way, while you will not claim credit for being its source. The Moeshiach continued seed planting before the crowd by breathing. If an Ashan joins an army, he is in need of armor to protect himself from attack. And the armor must be strong enough to assist him in defending himself and survive being attacked by the enemy. The luminous religion and its great light are the most suitable armor. All Eshan are able to be protected by these if he practices them with upright devotion in the flowing light. If Eshan wants to sail across the great ocean, he will be in need of a fine ship to carry him through the storms. And yet, no matter how well the vessel has been constructed, it still may not carry him to the other side. But the way of the great light can carry all Eshan across the great ocean to reach the shores of that true garden of the Shalom of eternal peace and the joy of enlightenment. If someone is dying in a horrible plague and they smell the healing balm, they can be revived. Its scent restores their life. And the great light is the best balm for healing, because it guides the Eshan through the pain and the hardships of life. And by learning and practicing within the great light, you obtain the Shalom of the eternal peace and the joy of enlightenment, true enlightenment. stood up and walked over and rested on a large boulder and breathed. Anyone, even if he has only a little victory of light, can eventually make his way to the true path, and he will receive the reward according to his victory of light. This is the way that leads to the paradisia, the true genun. And the eye can come to this even if he was once living in the absolute darkest of corners. If you truly follow the Shultre, the true path will be much easier to walk. So read the Shultres, the ancient scriptures. Now go and make truth seekers. By the seed planting among all people. For it is like a royal character defending against assault, or like a great lighthouse shining on a mountainside. Everyone can see it. And the Prince of the Echelon of Eternal Peace is like this. The eye is like a tall mountain that the Shultres, the scriptures, shine out of, like a great burning fire. If you follow the great light, you will become a great light for the world. Then the crowd sang Hallel and left that place with great rejoicing and standing up in the flowing light. Some remained standing there waiting, for they desired only to be out of a desert, to be baptized. So it came about that Yeshua and those who were with him out of the desert baptized those that were waiting, and one of the Eshan serving with Yeshua anointed them in the forehead after they came up from the waters, and they stood on the right side of the Moeshiach. Chapter 4. Now after the people were out of the desert and anointed, Yeshua breathed. While the seed of the sun comes in his illumination, and all his pure royal messengers are coming with him, the Malachim, then the eye he does sit on the throne of his sunrise, and he does gather before him all the nations, and then a separation is made, and the sheep, the Ashaph, come in and are separated from the goats. And the Ashaph, the sheep, they stand on his right side, while the goats, they continue to live on the left side. This is the duality. The steel among the clay, the stainless steel. Then the Malach will breathe to those standing on his right. Come, endowed, enlightened, and separated by my great Father of light. Inherit the royal domain in the house of the sun, prepared for you from the foundations before the world. And the people comprehended the seed planting of Yeshua. For those who had left the crowd and were no longer interested in hearing the seed plantings of Yeshua, left that place down a winding path to the left of Yeshua. And Eshan asked Yeshua, Mother Star, what shall become of those who are placed on the left? And And Yeshua breathed to those on his right. The alphabetizing, the baptism unto vivification of the pure life, is the alphabetizing in the living viators, the waters, the cosmic waters, and in the living Eshavors, the living word. For this reason, you will alphabetize in the royal title of the great Father of light, and in the royal title of the true Zan, and in the royal title of the Asha Sphere of the pure anointed truth. Of course, that is Yeshua. And those who choose to stand on the right side of the seat of the Son will inherit life in a day without end. If they choose not to stand on the right side of the seat of the Son, they make their own choice of standing in the dark as seat of the moon. For they have not been alphabetized in these living Esha Viatas, and in the living Eshavors, the words, and their guilt will convict them, and they will enter into the realm of darkness that they remain in, and receive the stripes that are due until every last penny has been paid. For truly such one that is walking in the land of the dead remains dead. And another Ashan asked Yeshua, how is it that an Ashan can pay his last penny if he is dead? And Yeshua breathed, in time you will come to comprehend that those who go without a rebreathing as the breath of a star in their heart and in their mind, and continue in darkness, they choose their own walk in the darkness. But the travain love of Yahweh is great for all of his creation, and he affords for each one the opportunity to become his seed of light and to walk in the great light, even if it is after the death of the physical body. Those who walk in the darkness will be given instruction as they are able to receive, and when they are ready, if they become ready, and in accordance with the level of comprehension, they will have opportunity to come into the great light of Yahweh and enjoy the shalom of eternal peace and the joy of enlightenment for eternity in the day without end in the royal domain in the house of the Son of light. And some among the alphabetizer truth seekers were breathing, Mother Star, show us this light, for we wish to walk in it. And Yeshua breathed, do you not yet have eyes to see that are focused, or ears to fully comprehend the seed planting? But in time you will come to comprehend it. When you walk on the true path of the great light, you are walking in the light. But when you turn away from the great light and the seed planting of the seed of light, you are walking in darkness. And in the darkness there is much pain and anguish. For the stripes will last as long as one has not comprehended the pure instruction given to him. All those who breathe the breath of a star in sincerity and desire to walk in the light with a clean conscience, without guilt, will be called the seed of light. and will enter into the abode of the great Father of light, who rules from his throne of the sun. And then they will find the true shalom of eternal peace and the joy of enlightenment for eternity in a day without end. Yeshua then sat down on the ground, and all those with him also sat down in front of him. And Yeshua plowed and planted seed within them by breathing. The time has come when you may feel that Moeshiach is not with you on this earth. And there will come upon you the trials and the tribulations, the testing, because you follow the pure way. But you must know and comprehend that I am always with you. You who are walking in the great light. Do not permit the blind darkness of this world to overcome you. For the great Father of light provides all things necessary for those who are loyal and following to overcome the dark nature itself. And the great Father of light will not permit you to undergo any test that is too much for you to bear in your shul, in your soul. If you die in the great light, then you will live. For when they destroy your body, you will walk with Moeshiach, who will be seated in the right hand by the power of the great Father of light. For you have already perceived this. I am the way and the truth from the tree's roots and the great light. If any Ashon does not walk in this way and in the truth from the tree's root, he cannot see the great light. For it is written, those who feared Yahweh sparked with one accord, and Yahweh gave ear unto them, and a scroll of remembrance, a shofar book of remembrance that was written before him for all those who fear and reverence Yahweh, and that though upon his royal title they will stand. And they will be mine. Breathe the Yahweh of the only true stars, my very own possession, in the Dayel, the day that I make them. And I will spare them, as an Ashon spares his own son that serves him. Then you will return and discern between the perfect in the flowing light and the Mekat, the way of the cat. Between the one that serves Yahweh and the one that does not serve him. To speak in one accord, you must obey the Ashavors, the words of the great light, and be united in thought and in action. All things that come down from the throne, the sun throne of the great Father of light, who is in the throne of the sun, and all the stars will be given unto Yahweh, the seed of light. That is you. And he, the eye, will be given a throne in Yaru'eh Shalom, the new and true Yaru'eh Shalom, the peace and rule that goes round, the true sovereignty. And for all those who come after him, they as well will inherit this throne, the light. And all things must same mind, in agreement with him and those after him, for they will carry the heart and the fire of the seed of the sun within them when they spark and they speak, and you must hear them and follow. Obey the true calling. And in the seed of light and those after him, there is no error, no falsehood. For the hand of Yahweh is upon their heads, and their true mother, the Virgin Light, and the Asha Sphere of the true anointed one. The Holy Spirit guides their thoughts and guides the walk and work of their hands, and the living Sarang of the Nazarene will be born within each of them, and will be within them as a sign of the eternal Amen state, the true priesthood. Listen to the Eshavors, the burning swords of fire of the great Father of light. Now a dark cloud and a great thunder came down, and a voice from the sky, from the throne of the sun, began to speak by breathing. This is my only loved seed. The only loved seed, whom you are listening to, and I am well pleased with him. You must walk in the great light, which I gave to my Eshaul, Moses, and brought down for you and your seed of light those pure judgments. If you choose life, you will choose to be obedient to all that I have mandated to your fathers before you in Israel, and all the way of light. Yaakov, the seed of light, I will put my Asha Sphere on you, and he will walk in the victory of light and instruction. It will be given to him at all times, and those of the royal house of the true Eshareul will give ear to his voice and will do as he breathes. The Nazarene will perpetually live in the seed of light, and in those who come after him to sit upon the throne, I give them over of all Yahu Shalom, and they will rule within the royal house of the true Eshareul. I refer you to Jeremiah, and dispense the great light to my seed of light in due time, as I instruct. The old Israel is no more, ladies and gentlemen. It is the true spiritual Israel, the Eshareul. And the people became afraid, and the Ashan removed the coverings from their heads, and they were bowing down and raising their hands up towards the sky and breathing. We will choose life and obey the great light and the seed of light. And the seed of the sun we will trust and remain loyal to his Eshavors, his words. And Yeshua then comforted the people by breathing. You have been found loyal by the great Father of light, who is in the throne of the sun. Take comfort, for the great Father knows your heart. And then the trees that were sounding before the people began to shoot forth with green leaves and bright fruits. And the dark cloud departed, and the air was still and quiet. And the people rested and ate for a little while, and then departed. Seed planting before all people in the cities, the Eshavors, that they had learned and sparked of the great miracle that comes down from the throne of the sun.
Wow. Desert, that was so beautiful, and I just want to thank you on behalf of everybody and myself.
Well, I read it actually last night for the first time, and I was astounded. I had so many different lost writings to look at, and then I said, all right, I think I'm going to read this one. I needed a little inspiration and was hoping it would be good, and it really was. It was
yeah.
Amazing how much we have not been exposed to. You see, that this came from the Eastern tradition, another lost writing from the Eastern tradition, and we are not privy to so much. We had a library. Okay? Kefe didn't write two little teeny-weeny little letters. He wrote his own volume of letters. We are in the grand illusion, where people are getting their King James Version, and just because they have some type of emotional conversion, they think already they know everything and don't mess with my King James. And isn't this it says authorized in the front page, so it must be authorized, right? It's got to be, and they, so they are on such a surface level that immediately they think they've got everything and they've got nothing because they haven't even got to read yet. They haven't even become a student or a scholar, and all of a sudden they got instant salvation. And yet you look at the way that they live, and of course, as it said, you would know a tree by its fruits, and you know that they have not begun to transform their lives into the great light, and you would know a tree by its fruit. That's the fundamental behind of the great mystery. The tree does not offend. The tree, nothing impure comes out of the mouth, and the true life has surrendered totally to the Great One. And how is somebody that has surrendered their entire life to the Great One, going to be engaged in those things that are contrary to him? So there is a false tradition and there is a true tradition. And so there's only one sovereign, one Yahweh, one victory of light, one faith, one Alvavatazering, one baptism, or you can have 600 different flavors. Which one do you want? Do you want the true one or the Baskin-Robbins variety? Have it your way. You see, you can have it any way you want, but there's only one way, and that is part of the great mystery. Ninja, give out my information, and I will come back in about 3 minutes. Give me at least 3 minutes, and then I'll be glad to go a little further. I have a little more to share, unless you need to go turn in, because I know it's late for you over there. But I didn't want to just...
No, I don't want to stop. I want to keep going, Desert.
Okay.
But I do need a little break, so I might put some music on, and I'll give out your information.
Okay, and just give me about 3 minutes. Take 5 if you need it.
Yeah.
But I'll be back. I want to, finish the little bit of information I have here. I'll go a little further as best I can. Okay. Okay, so guys, we're going to have a quick break, and we'll be back with more on the Forbidden History Chronicles. And remember, you heard it here first. Okay, we'll be back.
Okay, welcome back to the Forbidden History Chronicles. You're here with Ninja Cat 111 and Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series on YouTube. Okay, thank you, Lynn, for putting the details in the chat. I can always count on you. Okay. Also, all the contact details for Desert are in every description of these live streams. If you'd like to donate, please go to www.therealpublicradio.net. That's www.therealpublicradio.net. Any size donation, and it all goes towards the transliterational project that Desert is doing. The most important. It's the most important thing in the world at the moment, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, and in doing that, you will get some PDFs. There's a copy of the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary. There's also a sample of the original Gospel with the dictionary, more up-to-date version of the dictionary at the back, and also a copy of the Book of Wisdom. And if you cannot afford to donate, that's fine. You can either give Desert a call or contact me via email. My email is in the description as well. And we can get you copies. I recommend getting these PDFs because it's a great start. If you're new to this, it's a great start to understand. Anyway, or you can... Oh yeah, I was just checking the chat. Or you can Skype Desert on Free America Radio, and it's already in the chat. Alright, welcome back, Desert.
Thank you, Ninja, and hello to Teresa, Take the Old Devil. I saw she said hello, so I just wanted to acknowledge that. And I'm losing my voice here, so I'm gonna do my best. But I have had more I want to share. You know what happens? It builds up, and I don't have enough window to get it all out. And I got 3x5 cards building up with words on them, and so
I wish I could do more. I wish I could do more, Desert. I really do.
Oh. No, that's okay. I've got to get back up. I'm broadcasting myself, and we've got Shannon, who's also going to do me on Friday night.
Yeah.
So that'll give me one more window. And but the name, you know how I talked about the name Jesus. Why did they move us away from Joshua, who was Yeshua, into Jesus? A name totally abstract and foreign, has no connection with the word Yeshua. That's because it's a code, and as you know, I pointed out from the from the etymology, sus, S-U-S, means a pig snout, and when you put ye in front of it, the J-E is the ye, ye sus, it means you pig snout, and that's what the occultic Jews gave to us with the new version, with King James, and so through the Vatican, of course, the Vatican at the top, the Arians. It's not the Jews alone. It's all a group of occultists that have it in for us. And then, so I'm in this book called Fossilized Customs, and here it talks about Moeshiach's name altered. And so, what does the name Jesus mean? So I gave the literal, and now he's going to give it as a from another aspect. Okay, so what does the name Jesus mean? The beginning part in Greek, i.e., is the sound ye, which is hail, okay, and is not Yah, okay, but because it has changed, because it was changed. Now, we're left with the sus part. It may be significant, so I should tell you the word we are sometimes see in the Latin, Jesu, Yezu, putting both of them together now, Yezu, has been traced to a Hebrew word meaning, a curse be upon you. A curse be upon you. So not only does it mean you pig snout, but also a curse be upon you, according to the Dictionary of Christian Lore and Legend by J.C.J. Medford, page 126, okay?
Wow.
So a curse be upon you. So it has two negative meanings. They picked the ultimate code for the title of our sovereign.
Yeah, that's why they all want to say it so much, and that's why they want everybody else that's asleep to say it so much.
Yeah. And
wow.
The Jews who are having a conversion that really want to serve the Mashiach, or Messiah, they took control of the Messianic movement, and they got them to call him Yeshua, and Yeshua, Y-E-S-H-U-A, or Y-E-S-H-U-A-H.
Yeah.
In the Babylonian Talmud.
I've seen that one a lot, yeah.
May his name be blotted out forever. Okay,
wow.
So the curse, it's a blot, and it's a pig smell. All in what they want to control the narrative. Remember, they control all sides.
Yeah. And
so we have to read it for ourselves. That's the thing.
It's amazing how just a few letters or a few missing letters make so much difference.
What are the most powerful words? The most powerful words are the smallest words. Single letter, two letter words, right?
Yeah.
A right to bear arms. A right to bear arms. Well, guess what? You can go to court and say, I got a right to bear arms. Judge will agree with you. Then I'll put you in jail for illegal possession of a weapon, because the right to bear arms is in the future. To is going towards something, and it never comes. We have a right for bearing arms, but they changed the word to, and it never comes. It's like going to the store.
Wow.
You're not there yet.
Wow.
You see? And so this is the trickery. So the smaller words, the smaller letter combinations direct everything, okay? And this is where we have to know the meaning of these root forms and realize how the game is played, right?
Yeah.
So, we're on symbolism, and I have something I read, I guess this was this morning, and it's on...
sorry, quick question. Sorry.
Yeah?
So, yeah is better than yes. The word yeah is better than saying yes.
Well, it's not a name described to somebody. Well, we can speak the common diction within our land, because it's not those words that are important, but it's when we define things with titles or what we call names, nouns, then we need to, take a closer look at them, especially when we're talking about spirituality. There's the common diction, then we have our spiritual diction, and so we have to really examine our spiritual diction.
Yeah. Oh, just being an Aussie, we shorten everything and speak very lazy and casually. So I say yeah more than yes, and it just makes more sense to me now. I don't. Yeah, with the S on the end of yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you give out my Skype and make an invitation for somebody to call?
I gave the information out, but I can do that now if you would like to Skype Desert.
I'm still waiting for that Skype phone to ring.
Lynn also wrote it in the chat, so yeah, I know.
Never called.
I know. Guys, I'm trying to be an inspiration. I was terrified. If you don't know the story, I was terrified, and then Desert couldn't get rid of me after that first phone call. So there you go. Yeah. Short version.
And the forbidden history. Okay. So we're on a word called putrefaction, and the alchemic symbolism of putrefaction, with its graphic representation of black crows, or we can call them ravens, skeletons, skulls, and other funeral signs, embraces the concept of life renewed, like the zodiac signs of Pisces. Hence, it has been said that it signifies rebirth of matter after death and the disintegration of the residue. That's an allusion to the rebirth that we have to do in the metaphor and the metaphysics of rebirth. From the psychological point of view, putrefaction is the destruction of the intellectual impediments in the way of the evolution of the spirit. Certain rites and folklorism customs seem to be derived from the alchemic concept. At least they appear in a similar symbolism. Thus, the chlorella, or the Navare, the Good Friday procession, is headed by a skeleton which in ancient times had bunches of grapes hanging from its back. This conveys the idea of the new life which arises from the putrefaction, and which was in reality already present in the Orphic mysteries and in all beliefs in the value of sacrifice as the generator of new forces. So I know that's kind of deep, but it's also alluding to the fact that, in other words, the idea of what we call kingdom of heaven has always been here, but because nobody was flowing in, that was what was symbolized by the Grim Reaper, because nobody was going in, there was no harvest. Ultimately, Yeshua had to show the way by his method when he finally came to be a sacrifice. People were always, at different periods of time and places, entering into the kingdom of heaven through the great mystery. And even in the when we read like the Kolbrin, we find out that the true followers of Yahweh, the Spirit, were following a ritual, a rite that was isolated to their communities, that was called being the second born. The second born is nothing new. That they knew they had to be reborn because they were born into the fall, and they had to be born back into the light. So this is all part of the mystery of our world, things that were never told, and we never get the pictures. So we have to realize that that when we're talking about transcendence, we're talking about the first transcendence is in the mind.
Yeah.
Leaving the pleasures or the diversions, the amusements, like going to the amusement park and getting on all the rides. That we want to enjoy everything. It's all sensational. It's all fun. But in the end, it will leave us empty and dead.
Yeah.
So we have to become intellectuals. We start by feeding our mind, and in the process of feeding our mind, then we are being transformed, and we're then able to transcend this world. So it doesn't happen by accident. It happens through definiteness of purpose, and it is a mystery. So I'm going to read a bit, and I'm losing my voice, but there's so much to share that I'm trying to get it out here today, being a day that most people care about to go inward. And this one is on karma, and I know immediately, of course, mainstream Christians get hung up on words like this because they don't understand Eastern tradition, and yet the tradition we follow is an Eastern tradition, and so these words have relevant bearing. It doesn't mean that we in Yeshua get caught up in the idea of karma, but when we recognize certain elements that are attributed to it, it does help us to learn how to be better people.
Yeah.
And also how not to be fooled within our own mind's deception.
Yeah.
And so in other words, to know is to know is to know.
Exactly.
And I study the occult, not because I wanted to be a member of the occult, but because it says that if you want to win a battle, you have to know your enemy.
Yeah.
How do we know how to stay away from our enemy's games if we don't know how the game is played, right?
Yeah. You can't you can't be one step ahead of your enemy if you don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the first step ahead is to know words, because they put us under the spell, and they were so clever about it. They took away the name of the Gospels, which was Evangelion, when they put on the front of it Gospel. Go spell, fool. If you can go spell, go spell. They knew you couldn't do it. They knew it. That it was so cleverly done. But yet, of course, then the father, gets somebody from their mother's womb, touching his thumb in his mother's womb, seeing pink light, and being told, you know, you're born at the right place. My first address in New Jersey was the 98 right place, you know, and then
Yeah, what was
that
that
was when I
like?
felt
Sorry,
my persecution.
I don't mean to veer off, but what was that like? Like, my first memory is from the age of 2, and even that's hard to sort of bring back up now.
Yeah.
What was that like? Is it describable at all?
Well, it was the sensation of self-awareness was sucking my thumb. That's the first sensation of self-awareness. You suck your thumb because you're conscious of your own being. You're conscious of self. It's a simple baby's mind that says, oh, this is me. And it's sucking its thumb because it's aware of self. And then the pink light is just the light coming through, I guess. I don't know. I can't explain it, but,
Wow.
you know, anyway.
Yeah, just wows me. That's all.
I had recurring dreams that were about that experience that allowed me not to forget.
Okay,
and
cool.
Also and the sensation of touching the thumb.
Just the knowing.
With me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was self-awareness.
Yeah.
So, anyway, karma, the law of causation and interaction between the higher and lower planes to bring about equilibrium between them and gradually raise the soul. It binds the lower self to the higher and arises through the union of the will with knowledge of a ethic standard involving choice. We read about that with Adam at the beginning. It estimates the experience of the ego and is expressed in effects, treasure in heaven. There you go, the treasures, that's knowledge. That's the treasure in heaven is knowledge. On the Buddhic plane. The Buddhic plane is the higher plane. It relates to the process underlying spiritual evolution and adjustment upon the higher planes. As the soul goes forth into the life of experience, so upon each succeeding level, the account is squared, as it were, so that each successive stage carries it into its relatively appointed place. This idea underlies all religions, and the Christian who looks for compassion in heaven. And the Christian who looks for compensation in heaven, or fears punishment in the grave, is holding crudely and unintentionally the truth that what we sow here, we reap. The result of upon entering the next state. So there's your karma. We cannot avoid it in the nature of the meaning that is derived from that terminology and idea. We know that we reap what we sow. The spiritual law of cause and effect in the soul is made to yield just and right results, so that throughout evolution, perfect balance between higher and lower is maintained, and the outcome of it all is stored away in the soul's inner being. As long as the lower nature remains, karma is incurred. But when the lower nature is put away, then the fruits of the spirit are reaped by the ego on the Buddhic higher plane. An act, either mental, verbal, or corporal, bears good or evil fruit, perfect or corrupt. The various migrations of a shun through the highest, middle, and lowest stages are produced by acts that we create. Motives arising from opinions in the mental body, from desires in the astral body, and from sensations in the physical body, accepted by the will operating on the mental plane, lead to particular conditions of incarnation on the lower planes. These are chronicle results actualizing in 3 stages, which may be called imperfect, corrupt, and indifferent. Do not complain, O soul, of the injustice of the beloved, the karmic aspect of the divine law, for such is your lot. The essential truth of sun and earth, life and death, is eradicable in the universe. There is the mighty image of the great Elohim standing at the center of all things, the sun, and all things are concentrated, are connected to him, and touch him. And as all things are connected to him, they touch him, according to their characters, as becomes for them blessing or curse, enlightenment or death. He is the happiness of obedience to the law of truth, and the misery of disobedience throughout his world. He looks with sympathetic joy or with profoundest pity on the souls he judges. But the judgments both come from him. It goes back to that story of Adam again. He had choice. The right hand and the left hand are both his. Burning there like the sun for all the world to see. He must be a comforting and guiding light or a consuming fire, one or the other, for every soul. Okay, that's that definition. And then on to this one here, necessity. See if I got the right one. Necessity. Oh, I missed something here. Hang on. I missed number 2. I know I'm ahead of myself. Okay, number 2. Here we go. The law of Mazda. Now remember, the Persian culture also only followed that there was one. They followed the one. So they followed the one that we follow, but they gave him different names and a different way of serving him. But that's why Cyrus let Israel go back to build their temple, because they also followed the way of the wand. So the law of divine love, the attraction to the highest, the will of the great Elohim, which is the law of purity, is the deepest and inmost thing of all the world. And the ultimate question of every earthly life is whether he is at peace with the great Elohim. Peace is the being rightly and harmoniously related with that with which we have to do. Law of Moses. And I'm reading in the Dictionary of Scriptures and Myths, by the way. I probably didn't mention that. Let me take a sip here.
I haven't got it all printed out anyway, so I'll just listen. I can't read along tonight. I apologise. Sorry for using that word. Ashavul.
Law of Moses. Okay. The ethical code, the ethical law arising through experience, and the perception of superior and inferior action in relation to social well-being. This implies subjection to karma. The ethical law is the forerunner of the spiritual law of love. See? So there's the two aspects right there. There's the ethical law, that was the forerunner, that was what we call the Ten Commandments. But then there was the spiritual law of the Tremaine love, the divine love of the three in one.
Okay, wow. Wow. Yeah.
So that's the difference, you know. So they were given an ethical standard, which they couldn't even live up to at that. And then Yeshua ultimately brought us the true love, the true light, and it's on the higher plane, and that's why we have to be second born. I'm sorry, you trying to jump in?
No, just wowing, just seeing everything that's right in front of me for the first time, seeing more and more.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. So the law of revenge, anger, and folly, the natural working of the inverted reflections of truth, love, and wisdom. That's a simple definition. Now, the law of Zoroaster, and this is the Persian tradition again that Cyrus was following. The divine law of the growth of the soul from a condition of illusion to a state of pure truth.
Okay, wow to that.
And Ahriman is the darkness. Ahriman and his devas mislead him, in order to increase thereby the power of darkness. He would not be able to resist these temptations to which his first parents had already yielded. There you go, the first parents, same truth. Had not Ormazd taken pity on him, the great light, that's Ormazd, taken pity on him and sent him a revelation of the will of the law of Zoroaster. That Zoroaster is nothing other than saying the big zero and star in the sky, the great logo, the sun. That's the symbol, the great light. If he obeys these precepts, he is safe from the divas, and from the darkness, and under the immediate protection of Ormazd. Makes you wonder why those women all want to call themselves divas, doesn't it? The substance of the law is the command. Think purely, speak purely, act purely. All that comes from Ormazd is pure. All that comes from the light is pure. All from Ahriman is impure. That's the Zoroastrian system. As the spark of divine self, the soul should know the great Elohim. But the astral and physical consciousness limits the soul and prevents its attaining illumination. And so it is that the power of illusion is created, and further is the soul led away from the truth. Nor would it be possible for the soul unassisted to rise from these planes of consciousness unless there had been another fourth pouring of the light of the Logos. That's Yeshua, pouring forth. This spiritual energy from above is spoken of as the law of Zoroaster, or the great light, which simply means the Trevane law of the soul's growth. Obedience to the requirements of the higher light places the soul beyond the illusoriness of the lower planes. For the soul may then dwell under the shadow of the eternal, and need fear no ill. The Trevane law insists upon the regulation of the life upon the lower planes by the soul itself, which shows that there is no abstract goodness to rely upon, and that apart from the correct personal thought, speech, and action, there is no salvation for the soul. No soul, novation. The soul's safety consists in its transferring the impetus given to its life from above to the lower planes whereupon it functions. And so overcoming ignorance and blindness, the will and the thought regulate the lower light. And unless the higher impulses are translated into terms of individual volition and ideation, they remain inoperative. The Elohimic, quote, God becomes Elohim to Ashon only insofar as man becomes Elohim. In other words, as the earthbound will becomes Elohimic-like, or like the light. So humanity becomes indistinguishable at one point from the great Elohim. My, me is Elohim. Not from nature, only from man. From the social process which Professor Huxley opposed to the cosmic, can we discern the law by which man may elect to live? In the earthly and ethical sentiment which lies in our own heart alone, can it be we obtain a glimpse of the higher order which we identify with the great Elohim? You begin to try to do right, and then it is in the pursuance of that effort that there become gradually impressed upon your intelligence certain things which had found no recognition there before. The spiritual nature of the world, that all this mass of things and events is fitted for and naturally struggles towards the enlightenment of character, spiritual nature of man. The truth that man is fully satisfied only with true character and with an endless chance for the character to grow in Elohimic, the existence behind the standards and laws of perfection in the flowing light, of a perfectly perfect in the flowing light being, from whom they all proceed, and by whom those who try to follow them are both judged and helped. From the sermon, Eye for the Soul. It is the sanctified soul that can read the secrets of the great Elohim, and not those which are wise only with the wisdom of this world. If you want to get behind the mystery of life, to find out what is the last word of creation, to learn the nature of the true Creator and the life that is from everlasting to everlasting, you must seek it through the perfection and not through mere cleverness. It is the pure in heart who see the great Yahweh. And one might add, it is those who have been conformed to the likeness of the Moeshiach, who can sing the song of Moeshaul, Moses, and of the Zabram, the Aram, the Ram. The pure sun of light utters itself from the heart, its center. This is what I mean to say, that those who are redeemed from the earth learn the song which is being sung by the illuminated ones around the throne of Yahweh, the throne of the sun. R.J. Campbell's sermon, the song of the redeemed. And the next up is Ma'avira Pot. Ma'avira Pot, a symbol of the casual body, the seat of the individuality and of the self. Stand by for a minute.
I was going to ask you to help me pronounce that, but it's a bit, it's...
Yeah, that doesn't matter. It's only in the definition. Mahavira Pat. Mahavira Pat. A symbol of the casual body, the seat of the individuality and the self. A mystical theory makes the Mahavira Pat a symbol of the sun, whilst the hot milk drought represents the divine flood of light and life. There we can talk about the land flowing with the milk and honey. There it's talking about the milk that flows down, with which the sacrificer becomes imbued. These symbolic interpretations, whatever we may think of them otherwise, certainly adapt themselves admirably to the general sacrificial imagery. As the sun is the head of the solar system and the supreme sphere in the universe, or in figurative language, the head of the Paragapati, the world, man, so its earthly and earthen counterpart, the Mahavira Pat, is the head of Vishnu in the sacrificial man and the sacrificer. The sun is the symbol, now this is a new definition, the sun is a symbol of the higher self. There you go. Which is the lower self cannot distinguish from the individual self and its vehicle, the casual body. In fact, nobody ever pays any attention to the sun. They've got no idea the sun is the great logo. They think it's just some type of plasma organ that's here to serve them without any recognition of what it all implies. The hot milk is the symbol of the divine life, the Atma Buddha, the flower, the great flower of life. The Parapati here stands for the archetypal man who has sacrificed himself for humanity. This is the indwelling Christ whose blood, divine life, cleanses from all blindness. As the soul evolves, that is, as the incomplete changes its nature and finally becomes the complete. And I have one more from this morning. I don't know if I was including Stephanos, a son of the Jason and Hypsio, a symbol of the expression of the truth proceeding from the union of intellect and intuition. And then this other definition I have here called necessity. Let me do one thing. Hang on. And want to welcome any new listeners to the broadcast. You're tuned in right here to the Forbidden History Chronicles with Ninja Cat 111 and Dezert-Owl. And we're right here every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, every Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time here in the States. And Ninja will give out that information again and what the time frame down under when we get done here. Necessity. Symbolic of the divine uniformity of action in the order of nature, which makes possible earthly interpretation of and reliance on divine laws. In the development of the soul, perfect order and certainty must characterize the laws of the higher planes as of the lower. Antiochus, I'd like to know who that is because we talk about Antioch Epiphanes out of the Greek, and then we got Herod, Herod. Then there's Antioch up in Turkey. So I'm kind of curious who this Antiochus is. I don't remember hearing of him. But Antiochus teaches there are two natures, the active and the passive energy. Energy and matter. One active, one passive. But neither is ever without the other. That which is compounded of both is called a body or a quality. Okay? Quality. It's nature. Starts with the atom. Among these qualities, and that ends up with the sun, that's the big atom in the sky, the Gardner atoms. Among these qualities, the simple and the compounded are to be distinguished. The former consisting of the four, or according to Aristotle, 5 primitive bodies, the latter of all the rest. Of the first category, light, and then oxygen, are the active, and then earth, or matter, and water, the receptive, or the passive. Underlying them all, however, is light without quality, which is their substratum, the imperishable, but yet infinitely divisible elements, producing in the constant change of its forms. Everything's a product of light. Definite bodies. Qualia. Well, there's the word quail. Interesting what they received in the wilderness when they wanted to eat the quail, the qualia. All these together form the world. All of these qualities form the world. And the external reason which emanates and moves the world is called deity or destiny. Also necessity. Because of the unsearchableness of its working, sometimes even fate. So, that was a mouthful right there.
That was very interesting.
Gives people some deep
yeah.
resource here for contemplation.
Reckon.
We have to be deep thinkers and hear some things we've not heard before. So, Ninja, we're closing it up. Anything on your end?
Just wow. Yeah.
Spelled B-V-O-V-V, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's 4:30 a.m. I just want to keep going, but you know what I'm like at this time. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, we better let you go then.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Nobody's calling in, and we're gonna have to. Well, anyway, you're doing such an important work helping us get this broadcast out, and we, and I keep you in prayer, that, and we pray light for you. Hope everybody else does, and that, your situation will unfold the way we want it to for your mother and for yourself.
Yeah.
So Ninja needs support as well, ladies and gentlemen. And what is your email for your PayPal? Give out your PayPal, okay? Because in case someone wants to make a love offering to you, so you can do what you got to do to relocate. You need help, so give out your PayPal email. What is it?
Okay. Thank you, Desert. It's sorry. It's gympy222@gmail.com. It's Gimpy, gympy222@gmail.com. All lowercase.
That's Gimpy.
And that's Gimpy.
Gimpy, GYMPY,
Yeah.
222@gmail.com.
Yeah, it's in the description.
It's in the description. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to make a love offering, to Ninja, then give. She needs to raise funds to relocate somewhere that's good for her and her all of her possessions and her cats, and so she's got a work to do. She's under oppression, unfortunately, through family and
from all sides.
That makes it very difficult.
Yeah, it's not just pressure from my sister. It's all of it now. It's having no personal space. It's being
no one to help her.
No one to give me a break. No one to help. No way out. I know what I have to do. I know what needs to be done. And I know this situation can't stay the way it is. And so thank you, Desert. I don't like. I'm not one to ask for help, so I'm not good at that. So.
All right. Well, you're giving us great opportunity to share this information, and we'll look for Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Okay. And since Skype is not ringing and nobody has any questions, then I'm going to go ahead and drop off and let you close out. Okay. And,
okay. I think we're all just wowing. That was amazing, Desert. Thank you.
Okay. It's what they didn't want us to know that we tell right here, right?
It is indeed. Yep.
And if you want to know the future, just look for
The Forbidden History Chronicles. And please go back to June 21st last year, 2018, on Desert's channel, The Forbidden History series, and listen from the beginning. All the details are in the description. Yeah.
We'll see you, Ninja. Thank you.
Okay. Peace and light. See ya. Okay. I have no more words. Sorry, I have no more écheveaux, as per usual. That was just amazing. I don't know about you guys, but I really needed to hear all of that. I didn't want to stop, so thank you very much to Desert. Thanks, guys, for joining. Thank you, moderators. I love both of you. Lynn, for your consistency with the information and the sound checks. And love, thank you for all the hearts. And you always back up Desert as he goes with the words. So thank you. And Shelley, I love your new channel name. It's so cool. Who have I missed? I saw That Way. Hi, That Way. I'm just looking through the chat. Quantum and Take, and there was someone else. It's in the other half, the first half. Anyway, everyone that's joined, thank you. Love you all, and remember, you heard it here first. And Aussie time. If you need to know Aussie time for this stream, it is, just let me think, it is Wednesday nights, which is actually Thursday mornings, 12:30 a.m. and Sunday night, which is Monday mornings, 12:30 a.m. So please tune in. That time will change because I think we have about a week left of daylight savings, so we'll figure it out. We might have to readjust the schedule, but hopefully we don't have to. Anyway, love you guys, and I'll see you next time.
yourself. 2, to log or unlock the conference. 3, to record the conference. 4,